Hello YouTube, and welcome to another moto vlog coming at you from Sterling, Virginia. As always, my condo, talking, dubbing, drinking, looking at my footage, and trying to come up with something interesting to say. This is my third take on this. My first take I was kind of just riffing based on the things I saw in the video. Yeah, but I didn't really like that because, well, there are some interesting things to see, but really I'm riding a freaking scooter. I'm not going that fast. I'm not going very far, and I'm doing a ride that I've done before, so I think you've seen all this stuff. I think the only difference between any of my other Great Falls rides and this ride is the camera settings. So, yeah, I'm doing the super view because that's the native. It's the native field of view of the camera, no compression artifacts or anything, so it looks the best. And I'm doing 60 frames per second because I've noticed that during the day in these high contrast situations that we have, 60 frames per second, it just looks better. So you get a reduced sense of speed for sure compared to doing the medium field of view in 24 frames a second. Anyways, it doesn't matter. I'm gonna move on. My second take, I hit on a lot of things that I want to hit on this video, but then I started talking about like the physics of trail braking, and like that is just stupid. I don't think I can make a video explaining my views on the physics of trail braking without drawing a bunch of diagrams and doing a bunch of math. So it just doesn't make sense because this is all a feel thing. Like, you have to have an intuitive understanding of trail braking to apply it correctly. And I feel like I sort of have that feeling, but the best way to get it, of course, is to practice it. So, in your car or your bike, trail brake all the time. I would say start with your car. Just trail brake all the time in your car. That's the key. Then translate that over to your bike. When you felt like you starting to get an intuitive understanding of trail braking in your car, bring it over to your bike. That's your safest way to go. And of course, by trail braking, I mean your trail braking and your steering inputs are like a sine and a cosine wave, right? They are offset by 90 degrees. So when you hit the peak level of steering input, you hit the minimum level of braking. And then when you hit the maximum level of throttle or the maximum level of braking, you're at the minimum level of steering input. Anyways, it's not actually sine waves and cosine waves, but that's kind of a good way to think about it if you kind of do the math right. Yeah, it's more like bell curves. It's more like offset bell curves, but let's just ignore all. See, I'm starting to talk about the physics again, so let's just forget the physics and move on to the real topic I have, which is using non-performance vehicles in a performance-oriented manner. So I have a little anecdote, and the reason I'm bringing this up is something that I've been thinking about a little bit, and that is a conversation I had about 36 hours ago at Katie's Cars and Coffee. Okay, so I don't know how the conversation started, but I started talking to another gentleman, and the topic came up of good roads in the area. Now, I don't know if this gentleman is perhaps not from this area, or maybe he is and he doesn't really. I'm gonna go off and take the worst case scenario that I can think of, and that is he is from this area, but he doesn't do a whole lot of performance oriented driving, right? So what he told me was that he was going to be using a Porsche of some sort. It doesn't really matter whether it be a Cayman or a Boxster or a 911, like that nice white one there. And he was going to be going with some friends who were in some other vehicles of some sort. I don't really remember what they were, whether it be like a BMW. It was like it was like a class below. It was like a BMW or something, like an M3. So you have people with very disparate levels of performance from their vehicles driving together. And it makes you wonder which one of them is going to have the safest time and which one of them is going to have the best time. And I'm going to go out and say it that the vehicle that they're using is going to typically not indicate who is going to have the best time. It's certainly not going to indicate who is going to have the safest time. My second anecdote is related to a video I just watched, which was from 2010, so about 9-ish years ago, maybe more, maybe less. It's a video about some guys from a TV show participating in a rally, a Targa rally. And these types of rallies are timed events in which you get penalized for either going too slow or too fast. So the whole idea is you complete the stage. Let's say the stage is like 20 miles long or something. They're probably not that long, but let's just say the stage is 20 miles long, and you want to complete it in like 20 minutes. So your average speed needs to be like exactly 60 miles an hour. And what they will do is, to make sure you don't cheat too bad, they'll put at unknown places along the stage, say at like 7 and 15 miles, they'll put a little timing sections to make sure you're not like off by too much at that point. Anyways, so I was thinking about it, and I was thinking like there was all these different kind of cars, and one moment stood out to me in that there was a big crash that they filmed, and during the crash you were watching the video, and you were watching cars go by, okay? And maybe after like 2 or 3 cars go by, this next car comes by. And I remember watching this, and as soon as that car comes by, he turned in way too early. And that's what I thought to myself, like, that guy started turning in way too early. And lo and behold, they can't, their line gets all screwed up. They can't make the exit. They lock their brakes, the driver and the co-driver, and they go straight into a freaking house. And it's a tragedy. You ruin the car, you mess up the house. It's a big problem. No one got hurt, but still, like, your race is over. You'll probably have to get your car towed. You're going to have to pay for the damages to the house. Oh, it's not good. And I think about, why would something like that happen? Now, I am not a crash analyzer. Obviously, the main culprit was they were going and they turned in too early. Like, it was obvious. But why would someone turn in too early? The fact of the matter is, if you're participating in a rally race, you know damn well the old adage that early apex, short career. Anyways, I think it comes down to something that I mentioned in a chat room about riding, which is a little phrase, and that is, you have to trust your equipment, you have to trust yourself, and you have to not do anything sudden. So, what could potentially happen to someone who knows damn well that taking an early apex is bad? Well, they could have a lack of trust in their equipment, a lack of trust in themselves, or they could have gotten distracted and then done something sudden. Does that make sense? We don't know which of those things there were. So, the don't do anything sudden is like the execution phase of this, whereas trusting your equipment and trusting yourself are the intellectual phases. So, what I mean is, if you don't trust your equipment, that is something that gets up into your head, right? Like, if you're thinking, like, say I'm riding this scooter and I didn't trust it, I would be thinking, am I going to make it through this corner? Are my brakes going to be enough to slow me down? am I going to be able to, do this, that, and the other? Is the bike going to handle it? And sometimes I'm still new to this scooter, and I have to admit, my trust of the bike, of the scooter, isn't that good because I don't know it that well. So that's really bad. It's not something that can easily be fixed. Like, I have to let go, because when I think, can the bike make it? You know what I'm not doing? I'm not thinking head up, eyes up, chin in the right position, body in the right position, look here, look there. I'm not actively thinking about doing the things I need to be doing. Instead, I'm actively thinking about stuff that is completely meaningless. And then again, trusting yourself. The main thing when it comes to trusting yourself is trusting yourself to not do anything stupid, right? Basically, trusting yourself to not do anything sudden would be the big thing. Like, I'm not going to rip the throttle open by mistake instead of rolling on smoothly. I'm not going to snatch the brakes instead of applying them conservatively. Or not conservatively, but applying them progressively. I'm sorry, was that a joke? Was that some kind of joke? I don't know. Anyways. So that's what it comes down to. And I think when it comes to operating non-performance vehicles, like, say, my scooter, in a performance-oriented standpoint, I think if you've been watching this video, you've noticed one thing, right? I have come up on these vehicles like they are standing still. Like, I am obviously going around on this scooter much more quickly than these cars are. And that's a funny thing, because my scooter is worth, like, let's compare it to this big Mercedes. If we were to put my scooter versus the Mercedes on a very tight racetrack, like let's say like a motocross track, I think the Mercedes would win. Because it's going to have better tires, it's going to have better suspension. Yeah, it's big and heavy, but it's got this huge engine. And yeah, I think all else being equal, yeah, the Mercedes is a much more performance-oriented vehicle than my scooter. But as you saw, I approached that vehicle like it wasn't even moving. And then I got held up by him, right? So, man, I don't know. And I think that comes down to trust. Like, the person in that Mercedes does not trust their vehicle to perform to the level that I trust my scooter to perform. Does that make sense? So let's go back to my original story, right? Porsche, let's just say Porsche 911 Carrera 4S versus BMW M3, like E92. Older M3, not an old car, but you know, the big V8 one, kind of a few, and then the Porsche 911 4S is like the brand new one. I don't remember the moniker, but it's like 991.2 or something, like a brand new one. So brand new Porsche versus an older BMW. Obviously, the Porsche is going to have better chassis, better suspension, easier to use engine. It's just going to be a much easier to operate car. So, driver for driver, like if I get in the Porsche, I'm going to have more confidence in that car than I would have in the BMW, right? But it's not driver for driver. Real life is not driver for driver now, is it? If you were to put, you know, say a less confident driver in the Porsche versus a much more confident driver in the BMW, that BMW driver's level of confidence in the BMW is going to be so much higher than the Porsche driver's level of confidence in the Porsche. And what does that mean? That means the BMW driver is going to be able to get on the brakes later, turn in harder, apex with a higher speed, and then get on the throttle heavier coming out of the turn. Basically, they're going to do everything faster, and they're just going to demolish the Porsche. I.e., if the BMW were leading the Porsche and the BMW driver were driving seriously, he would, you know, either pull away from the Porsche or cause the Porsche to crash. And that is the way it goes. You see this with bikes. we've seen it with, we've seen it with one of my friends, and I'm not going to name names, I'm not going to name bikes, but I was on a big fat pig of a bike, riding around a very technical road. Buddy, very good buddy of mine, who I don't want to disparage, but I kind of have to, was on kind of a much more capable motorcycle, and he was following me. And unfortunately for him, he was tired, and he lost a little bit of concentration. And when he regained his concentration, he realized that his confidence, his ability to trust the motorcycle to do what it needed to do to get him through the corner was not there. Could the motorcycle have done it? Maybe, maybe not, right? But his ability to trust the motorcycle to do this, to make this corner, was gone. So what he did was he basically broke as much as he could and then ran off the road, put the bike straight up and down and ran off the road. And I've seen other riders do this exact same thing. They weren't following me, they were following someone else. Another guy, again, on a the lead rider was on a very good sports bike, and the following rider was on a slightly less good sports bike. And the following rider had been left in the dust. I was following him, and I was riding, I thought, pretty slow. And the following rider was, I don't know, his confidence in his abilities and his confidence in his machine just were not there. So this is something I want you all to keep in mind, that like a driver in, say, a Toyota Camry could absolutely thrash a driver in a Porsche on a tight, twisty road if the driver in the Camry had more confidence in his Camry than the Porsche driver had in his Porsche. Does that make sense? It's just what it is. So if you're going to drive a non-performance oriented vehicle in a performance way, what you have to do is establish a performance-based relationship with your non-performance-based vehicle. I.e., what are the actual limits of my vehicle? Where do things go wrong? Like when I talk about my scooter, where do things go wrong? Well, the big thing that goes wrong with my scooter is the suspension. It's very soft. It pogos. It doesn't perform well under heavy braking. The tires are very small, and they're not going to react to imperfections in the roadway that well. So those two things worry me a lot. So how do I overcome this? Well, I overcome this by cornering at a lower speed than I would on my GS or on my R6. Does that make any sense? Like I corner at a lower speed. Now, my lower speed on my scooter might be significantly higher than the speed of someone else on an R1 or on a Gixxer 1000 or something. It comes down to my level of confidence versus their level of confidence. So this is why riding your own ride, of course, is so important, because you are you. Like, hopefully, your level of confidence with your machine, with yourself. Now, confidence with yourself comes down to, again, your confidence not to do anything stupid, but it also comes down to your confidence in reading roads. And by reading roads, I mean making good line selections. So, anyways, also your confidence in say, your mental state. So like I said from my previous little anecdote about my buddy who crashed, his mental state wasn't 100%, and that's a huge contribution to why he crashed. He just wasn't there. He kind of blanked out, and I think that's happened to me. I've completely blanked out riding my motorcycle before and ran off the road. I've done the same damn thing, and I was going on a straight road. I ran off a straight section of highway because I was so tired that I think I fell asleep for about a split second, like a micro sleep. So these kind of things can happen to anyone. Anyways, guys, we're coming near to the end of the video. I want to thank you for watching, like always. I'm going to give the same spiel I usually give. And that is, you know, I don't do these videos to make money. I don't do these videos to gain recognition or to get love or acceptance from anyone else. I do these videos to catalog my own thoughts and to basically substitute as a diary. Like, this is like introspective meditation for me, you know? So I really do appreciate if you follow along with this. And if you ever have any comments, like you think I said something stupid, or you think you're worried about me for some reason, or my bike, you notice a problem with one of my bikes, I think one of the most helpful comments I ever got was that somebody saw the gloves I was wearing a few years ago, and they commented that the gloves I was wearing were no good, that they had crashed in those same gloves, and the gloves didn't hold up. And I immediately went, thank you, sir. That is a great comment. I'm going to go out and buy some better gloves. And that's what I did. I went out and bought much better gloves. This is always funny. I had some guys pull up to me behind the light, and they could tell they were pissed, and I just floored off the light. I pull away. Anyways, guys, like always, have a great day. Have a great night. Merry Christmas. Happy Hanukkah. And think about your riding.